who's been living in Finland for about 2.5 years. Something still really surprised me because the culture and people's demeanor are quite different from what I'm used to. And in today's video, I gathered about 8 different points that I want to share with you that surprised me the most. So if you're ready, just sit back, relax, and let's begin. Hello, I'm Nura, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, as I mentioned before, I will be talking about the things that surprised me the most about Finland. And like I mentioned, I've been living here for about 2.5 years, and before this, I've been living in Turkey. So the culture and people's general demeanor are very different from what I'm used to. Like one of the biggest differences is of course the population, because I used to live in Istanbul, which is one of the biggest cities. It is crowded. It is really crowded. Where I currently live is Turku. It is a much more relaxed environment and there are definitely less people because the population is definitely less than Turkey. And I quite enjoy living here, but still, like I said, something surprised me. So here we go. One of the things that surprised me most was the personal space that Finnish people are respectful of. Right now, as you can see behind me, I'm actually in a park, which is one of the biggest parks in Turku. It's called Kupitta. Here behind me, there are a bunch of people that are going on picnics or enjoying some sun with their friends. Everyone is very distant from each other. And nowadays, it's the Corona times, and this is more common everywhere in the world. But here in Finland, it has been like this for the past 2.5 years that I've been living here. There's never anyone on top of you, and no one even gets too close to you, and no one disturbs each other. And like I said, they're very respectful about personal space. I'm putting elderly ladies out of this equation because they're a different sort of species, I think. They like to talk, and sometimes even if you say that you don't speak Finnish, it doesn't really change their minds, and if they have something to say, they're gonna say it and then just walk away. But no one actually touches you, and no one actually touches my son, which is pretty important because Turkish people are very warm-blooded, so they tend to touch kids they see on the street, not in a bad way. It's just, oh, how cute you are type of thing, but still it is annoying for a mother. And here no one touches my child, so people are very respectful of those things. Nowadays it's even more pronounced because now, like, when two people are walking towards each other on the street, they tend to move to the outer side of the sidewalk so that there's no contamination or anything. And one example I have was I was talking to a Spanish friend living in Vienna, and Spain is also full of very warm-blooded people. She was complaining, saying that when they enter the elevator in Vienna, no one actually says hi. And I told her, people don't enter the elevator if there's another person in here. Like, I live in the 4th floor of a 6-story building, and if we're going down and there's someone else coming from upstairs, then I just let the elevator go by and wait my turn for the next one. Or if we're coming from outside and waiting for the elevator and somebody else comes in, they don't just jump after me and take the same elevator with me. They just wait and take the next one as well. I mean, people do say hi to each other when they open the door or something, but otherwise people, as I said, are sort of distant, very respectful of each other's personal spaces, so no one will get into you when you're living here. The second thing that surprised me was they let their babies sleep in the balcony, even in winter, and the winters here get quite cold. The first time I heard about this was during my language course, where my teacher was saying, like, if your kid doesn't sleep or if he's crying too bad, you can just put him in the balcony and he'll sleep better. All my friends, of course, hearing this story was like, no! But I do it all the time. Nowadays it's quite warm. We're getting to a nice little spring where it only snows every other day or so. But even in the coldest days of winter, with at least like minus 15 Celsius, if my kid has fallen asleep in his stroller when we were taking a walk, then I just come in and go all the way to the balcony and just let him sleep there until he wakes up. And of course that doesn't mean that my kid is naked naked or doesn't have on enough clothes or doesn't have a blanket on. Of course, he's wearing all the suitable layers for a winter in Finland. So he has on at least like 3 or 4 layers of clothing and hat and gloves and all that. But he sleeps fine in the balcony and I just let him be. Another interesting thing is the kids play outside even when it's winter. When your kid goes to a kindergarten or something, the main responsibility that kid has is playing. So they let the kids play outside for a few hours at least every single day. And even if it's snowing and it's minus degrees and it's cold and icy, that helps them build their immunity better, and also that helps them spend all their energy. And the last time we went to our neovola appointment for my son's regular checkups, our nurse was like, if he doesn't want a nap, just take him outside for a few hours, let him spend all his energy playing, and then you'll see that he sleeps better. Like I said, it doesn't matter if it's winter or it doesn't matter if it's summer. The kids are just taken outside to play even in the cold. Finland is also a very safe country and pretty much nothing ever gets stolen or lost. I have lived through this a couple times. So there has been one time where someone found a cell phone in our building and they put it next to the elevator, and that cell phone sat there for like about 4 or 5 days at least. No one took it from there, no one dumped it somewhere, and I'm hoping that the owner actually ended up finding it. And one time I lost my bus card. And here you get either a monthly subscription for your bus card or you can just load it with money and use it. And I tend to just load some money into it because I don't use the bus that often. And that time I had uploaded about 50 euros into my card and I lost it. And I went to the bus office and they asked for my ID, so I gave them my personal ID number and they went and checked this one little box for lost and found and actually found my card. So it turns out someone just saw it on the side of the road probably and took it there, and I was able to find it, and all the money that I loaded was still inside, so nothing actually happened. I actually use this security thing a lot because I mentioned that I let my son sleep in the balcony, and if he falls asleep in the stroller when I'm going to meet some friends or have a cup of coffee or something outside, I just let him sleep outside in the stroller, and I just leave all my bags and stuff in the stroller. So the stroller and my bags and my son are outside and I'm inside in a cafe enjoying my coffee. And I also do this in our park as well, in front of our building. So if I go down with the stroller thinking that I'm gonna go shopping or something, I just let it sit there and we play around and we go to the park across from the street as well. And I'm pretty sure that nothing will happen to my bags or my stroller and they're not gonna get lost, which is actually a blessing when you think about it, because I pretty like this security feeling that I get living in Finland, and I feel safer knowing that nothing I leave outside will actually get lost. The only exception to this rule is bikes. People's bikes tend to get stolen. The rumor is that drunk people just grab the bikes and dump them into the river, our river we have in Turku. I'm assuming that they're just selling the parts and making money off of that, but who knows? I don't know if this is gonna be valid for the United States or the rest of the Europe, but this is definitely something different from Turkey. And when you go to the movies in Turkey, for one thing, you get a break in the middle so that you can go to the bathroom, go buy more popcorn or Coke or whatever. Here in Finland, there are no breaks within the film. If the film is in English, then you get 2 sets of subtitles down under. One is of course Finnish and the other is of course Swedish, because both are the official national languages of Finland. And at the end of the movie in Turkey, as soon as the closing credits start rolling, people just get up and leave. But here you sit calmly and quietly and read all the credits rolling and watch it all to the last minute. People only start leaving at the end of the credits. The eating structure here is also different from Turkey, or what I'm used to. Normally, when I would wake up, it would take me a few hours to like get in the mood. I would start my day with a coffee and then have breakfast a few hours later and have lunch about 1 p.m. usually, and then dinner at least at like 8. But here, people tend to wake up earlier. The reason for that is if you're working, most companies have flexible working hours unless your job requires a certain time period, but otherwise you can go early and leave early as well. If that's the case, then people usually get up at like 4 or 5 and get ready and go to work. And then here, lunch is usually buffet lunch. So they have pretty much every restaurant has a lunch buffet that you can go to and grab your food. And the lunch breaks are just 30 minutes. And that is leaving the office, going, eating, coming back to the office. So the entire time is just 30 minutes. And in Turkey, it's at least an hour and people usually like extend that. But here it is a shorter amount of time. And that's why the buffets are so popular, because you don't wait to order and you don't wait for the food to be cooked or anything. You just grab it and eat it. When you look at the timeline, the lunch buffet starts at 10:30, which is like breakfast time for me. And it starts at 10:30 and people usually go around like 10:30 or 11, and by 12 there's pretty much nothing left, and some of the restaurants are even closing their buffets by then. In extension to that, the dinner time is usually around 5. So Finnish people tend to get up early, eat their lunch and dinner early. This one is something I really do not get. Finnish people love woolen socks. They just love it, and they knit it, and all the yarn stores sell tons and tons of sock yarns. I used to have a neighbor, an elderly lady, who would knit socks all the time, and it looked really complicated and confusing to me, and I didn't understand how people wore them because I never found them to be comfortable. But here, everyone wears woolen socks, and they have this thing. So in most of the healthcare institutions or offices, the employees tend to take off their shoes and walk around in slippers or woolen socks. One of the reasons for that is, of course, during the winter, everyone wears like these thick boots, and you can't spend the entire day in a warm office in those boots. So everyone just takes their shoes off and wears usually woolen slippers, like socks. And it also happens in our baby and me or baby and mommy groups, the Wawa kafilas that we go to. And most of the ladies there just wear woolen socks on their feet, and they're warm and they do look more comfortable than the ones I used to see around Turkey. So I guess it sort of makes sense, but I still haven't gotten used to that. Like, I've gotten used to most of the food and most of the cultural things, but the woolen socks, nope, haven't gotten used to them yet. I've already mentioned that the healthcare system here is different in a previous video where I talked about the baby healthcare system or the maternity clinic. This is sort of related to that. So here, actually people trust the public healthcare system a lot. When you want to get an appointment, it takes some time. Depending on your situation, it can take up to a few months to get an appointment, or if it's something urgent, then they'll schedule you earlier. But what usually happens is when you call them, if the line is busy, then it just sort of gets closed, but they give you a call back to make an appointment with you or to answer your question. In the date that you're supposed to go to the doctors, you just go there and there's no reception, there's no secretary there that is gonna like sign you in or let the doctor know that you arrived, because people here are punctual. They are really punctual. So if they say 10, then that means 10. If you have an appointment at 10, you usually go about 5 to 10 minutes earlier and you just sit in the waiting room, and the doctor just on time opens his door and announces your name and you just walk in. Like I said, there's no sign up or anything. That initially freaked me out because, for one thing, I'm still learning Finnish and it is a tough language to learn. Nowadays I'm used to it and I can get by if I have to, but the first few times that I had to go for like like the dentist or for the maternity clinic or for my son's checkups and stuff. And not knowing the language, I wasn't sure where to wait. Like, especially the first time I went to the dentist, it was like a sort of like a square building, and I didn't know which door my doctor's door was, and I didn't know where to wait because there were these different waiting areas. Then I ended up having to ask someone, sort of like a receptionist secretary type of lady, whose job was not that at all, but thankfully she pointed me in the right direction. The following times that I went, I just sat in the same spot and waited for my doctor to call me. So that is a little different from what I'm used to, at least, because I'm used to going to the doctors and first announcing that I've arrived. One extension of this could be, though, if you miss the appointment, I think you get charged about a €50 invoice because you took their time, basically. That might be why no one ever misses an appointment. Another thing that's different in Finland is some of the holidays. And here, one of the biggest holidays is actually the 1st of May. It is called Vappu, and everyone here celebrates it. In Turkey, the 1st of May was a Labor Day, and it usually would turn into a chaotic day because the government would ban the demonstrations and people would still want to go out on the streets and demonstrate, and it would get ugly. But here, it is such a peaceful, happy holiday. And what they do is everyone goes out on the 30th of April. Everyone wears their high school caps if they have them. And the university students usually have these overalls covered with different like pins and stuff. So they wear those, and everyone grabs some sparkling wine, and people go out onto the streets and celebrate, let balloons loose and all that. So it's a really fun and peaceful holiday. And the 1st of May, people tend to go to have a picnic, but it usually rains, so I don't know what's up with that. Still, people like to go out and have picnics on the 1st of May if the weather allows. And something else that is different is Valentine's Day, which is called Friendship Day instead of Valentine's Day. And everyone celebrates it with their friends and buying flowers or sending cute cards. Another big difference is Father's Day, because pretty much all around the world, I'm not sure, pretty much everywhere else I've been to, it was celebrated in June. In Turkey, it's June as well. But here, Father's Day is in November. So we celebrated it quite differently than the rest of the world. So these are the things that most surprised me about living in Finland. And I'm sure as I keep on living here, I'm gonna come up with other even more surprising things. But this was just my little catch up of everything that I noticed so far. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, just give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so, make sure that you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. And I hope to see you here next time. Bye!